Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name's Nazrin Veronica and today I'm back with another reaction video. So I'm going to be reacting to a video, a Candace Owens interview, which she did with a trans woman, some would say, and it's called The Horrible Reality of Bottom Surgery, which is the surgery that's performed on trans people to change their genitals and try to make them into the gender that they want to be. So let's have a look at what that's all about.
How are you feeling? Give me how you're feeling the night before.
I thought that I was going to feel like a normal person for once.
You're excited.
Yeah. Like, this is the promise that my family and I have been sold since I was a kid, is that we will make her into a real woman. She doesn't have to deal with what older trans people go through. She won't have to look in between. We will do it all young and it will be perfect. Like, I mean, my mother and I to this day truly believed that up until recently.
Wow. So your mom's excited. You're excited. You're thinking this is like an answered prayer.
Yeah.
Everything's going through. The insurance has gone through and you're going to come out and be a woman.
Yeah. I mean, they were ready. He made it seem like I would, and he also, and that's something I think we can get into further, is there's a lot of conflicting information within gender healthcare. One thing that I was told directly by the doctor, and the surgeon, Dr. Roth, had actually privately called my parents and had conversation with them, telling us both separately that it's best for me to do this as young as possible, so that way I recover better and I'll heal better and I'll look better.
So bad. The amount of manipulation that doctors and transgender specialists give to their patients and their patients' families is just unreal. I've heard so many stories of this happening, and they're using the parents' emotions against them and trying to make them think that that's the best thing you can do for your child, instead of just allowing them to get older and grow out of it, because most children will grow out of it by the time they reach 18 if you just allow them to. That's what the stats say. So it's just so wrong and so backwards, but they're doing it on purpose. There is an agenda behind it, of course.
He had told my mother and stepdad that privately, and then he had also told me that in our appointment.
So you trusted this doctor?
Yeah.
Yep. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
These are the professionals.
Yeah.
Why would they want to harm you? Why would they want to put you at a risk for anything? They just want you to be happy.
Yeah.
So what happened during the procedure?
The procedure was 7 hours. And immediately I woke up. I could not walk for the entire duration I was in the hospital. I had severe pain all over my body. I actually had an epidural in because of the pain. I could not use the restroom. And just a few days later, I had blood clots in my legs. I had a DVT.
What's a DVT?
It's a deep vein thrombosis. It's a large clot that was in my leg. And they only discovered it because I had a fever. So from there, I had to be on blood thinners for 3 months, and I had to do injections every day. I was in so much pain. It was searing pain.
From the symptoms that this person's talking about, it sounds like it could actually be a life-threatening surgery. The things that this person is describing is literally things that could kill you. The deep vein thrombosis, that kills people. So the fact they did this to a young person, a minor, is unfathomable, and it should be illegal, but obviously wherever this happened, it's not. It's crazy.
Searing pain. And I was in the hospital for about maybe 2 weeks. And during my time there, I remember there was an intense fascination with what was being done to me. I remember specifically nurses at the hospital, residents of the hospital, various people there would come in. They would look at me. They would tell me, "This is so cool. We've never seen someone as young as you have this done. We've never seen this surgery done here." I remember people coming in and out. I remember Dr. Roth would bring in multiple residents to just watch me while I was sitting there and I couldn't walk.
Oh my gosh. It's literally making me feel sick. I cannot believe the evil, sick nature of these doctors who are performing these surgeries on young people in this way. It is just sickening. How are you treating this young person who you've actually abused? You know, you've abused their body. How are you treating them like they're a zoo animal and inviting people in to stare at them, laying there helpless because they put their trust in you and you completely took advantage of it and ruined their life? They now can't walk. They now can't go to the toilet. And you're in awe of what you've done, but in a good way. After seeing all of the after effects of it, how is that even possible? If it was me, I could not live with myself afterwards. I would not be able to sleep. I would not be able to eat. I'd probably die from the nature of the evil that I just performed. But he is happy with himself and inviting people to look at what he's done. It's just awful. It's so awful.
I couldn't move. I was in so much pain.
Wow.
And yeah, people just came in and it was like a science class.
Like you weren't a person.
No.
Literally, like it was a science class. Like he's, Dr. Frankenstein. And
Yeah.
just, look at this. Look what I've created.
Yeah.
That is so horrific. I mean, that is
Yeah.
truly, talk about not feeling like a person.
Mm-hmm.
You're going into this because you don't feel like a person.
Yeah.
And then you're realizing that you're a spectacle.
Yeah.
Look what I did.
They really play on their insecurities, don't they?
That's horrible. That is so horrible. And you're in searing pain. You're in agony.
Yeah.
You're in an epidural. I mean, I can only, imagine that as someone who's given birth and being on epidural. Like it's like, and these are your private parts.
Yeah. And immediately from there, nothing was recovering. It got worse over time. Immediately going home, this is not typical, and they told me this wouldn't happen, but during a procedure like this, they completely shorten your urethra because obviously you don't have a penis anymore. So they have to cut it and put it like right at the body. And mine was so swollen that I had a catheter in for about a month attached to a bag. And I could feel it like every second. And you also have to dilate when you have this procedure. So basically, they're essentially like plastic, like large, almost like toys.
Yeah.
Very similar to that. And you have to put them in and leave them in for 30 minutes at a time.
With that pain.
And it felt like a knife inside of me. But I was terrified to like not miss a second because then I would feel like all of this was going to waste. And I would lose everything that I thought I had wanted for so long.
You're literally torturing yourself for a dream that you've been sold, which turns out to be a lie. Like, I know people laugh at this, but it's actually sad if you think about the reality of it. They're playing on, young people's minds to get them to have these surgeries, which are irreversible, which make them infertile, which remove their ability to even, enjoy sex in the future. I mean, I know that, this world is evil. Yes, it's run by evil. I know that, but it's just such an awful reality that we live in. It really is. I just can't get over it.
But every single day, the pain was worse and the bleeding was worse. I would bleed all over the bed every time I would do it. And I knew even just a month, 2 months in, something was really wrong. The way dilation works is they give you 4 different sizes and you are supposed to work up to the largest. But I was going backwards. I would try so hard. The surgeon told me, oh, like you just have to make it fit. You just have to put it in. And I couldn't. I felt like I was being shredded inside. And I had no idea what was happening. I would try and call the doctor. I would say, this feels wrong. Like, there's just no way that this is what it's supposed to be like. It looked horrific on the outside. Like, I mean, it didn't, and it still doesn't really look like any kind of genital. It looks like something in between. And I remember that even from when I had the surgery. It looked horrible on the outside. And everything felt wrong in my body. And I would try and call for help. And he said, oh, it's just normal. Try using more lube. Um, Take deep breaths. Try a different angle, like using a pillow. And it made no difference. Like, and I was constantly being told that. And even when we went in for checkups, he just kept saying things were fine. He was like, oh, things are fine. My mom would be there. He was like, oh, this is fine. And I would ask questions. I'm like, what about this pain? Like, I'm still bleeding. Like, I'm still having like discharge coming out. Like, I'm still in so much pain. Like, even 2 months later, I would walk and it would feel like there was a brick right here. Like, it was just nonstop pain. And he said, oh, it's fine. It'll go away. And then
This is why, I mean, it's not why. There's many reasons why I don't trust doctors anymore. This just makes me not trust them even more. Like, how can you see that something is so wrong? A young person who you've performed a surgery on that you haven't performed on a young person before is telling you that they have all of these issues from it, and you don't even inspect it, you don't even look into it, you don't even see if there could be something wrong. Why wouldn't you? You've performed the surgery. Why wouldn't you want to know if everything's okay with it? If you had so much faith and trust in yourself, why would you not want to, make sure it's actually gone well, if you truly believed it had? The thing is, when doctors make a mistake, they hide it by saying everything's okay, which is what's happening now. Everyone's had this injection. They're reporting that things have gone wrong in their body, and doctors are going, "Oh, it's fine. You're okay. Oh yeah, I have friends who have serious problems after their one, and they're being told that they're making it up and it's a psychological issue they've got, when they're having physical symptoms like heart attacks, strokes, blood clots, myocarditis. Oh, it's just in your head." It's crazy. These doctors cannot be trusted.
just a few months later, I got to a point where I called him and I said, this pain is not going away. It's getting worse by the day. When I try and dilate, I feel like I'm ripping myself apart. And he said, just take antibiotics for 2 weeks. And I never had an infection. It wasn't until the end of that year that I finally called and I said, I need to come in. Like, there's something so wrong here. And I don't understand why no one's actually had me come in and really look. They finally had me come in. They did an ultrasound and it's called a vaginoscopy. It's where they go in and look. And there was no infection. What was happening was I had scar tissue all internally from the new organ, and it was collapsing and causing my pelvic floor trauma. And he told me, there's no recovering this. Like, there's just no way. Like, your body's completely rejecting it. And so he said, you can just stop dilating. Like, it's going to close up either way. And he said that there was just really no other way to fix it beside another surgery. And I cried. And I cried in that room because I fought for this to work. And when it didn't, that was the reason I never finished school, because I was recovering that whole year. I thought that all the pain that I had been through and I put my family through was for nothing. And I cried in that room. And all he said was, I'll give you a minute.
I'll give you a minute.
And then he came back in. Thank you. I'm sorry.
No, you're
I
like,
apologize.
you are so fine. Take all the time you need. I mean, this is really emotional.
Yeah. And so he came back in and he told me, well, we'll have to do it again. And this time we're going to have to use a graft from the colon. So we're going to have to do it that way. He sent me to another specialist pretty much just a few months later, because in order to do that surgery, you have to have a colorectal specialist who takes the graft. I met with him and he said, there's no way I will do this to you. He said, your pelvic floor is so traumatized in these MRIs that it will be severely worse complications if it happens again, or you could lose your life. And I felt like my world was over. And then I went back to Dr. Roth and I said, why is he saying this? You told me that, oh, just meet with him and then he'll tell you kind of how it'll work and then we'll get you in for the second one. He said, that's not possible. Like, it can be done. So he sent me to another one. I met with him. I met with the second colorectal specialist. Said the same thing. He said, I will not operate on you. Like, this just can't be done. Like, he said, what's happened to you the first time will happen again, if not in a worse way. And he refused. And I went back to Dr. Roth and I left a voicemail and I said, this is the second surgeon saying this, and you're still telling me to do this second surgery. Like, I'm confused. Every other doctor is refusing to almost kill me from doing this. And I lost contact with him.
He disappeared.
Yeah.
Dr. Joshua Roth. Well, I just want to say that
I'm so glad that they're talking about him and airing his name, because hopefully other parents will watch this and maybe learn something about this doctor if they're dealing with him, and hopefully not put their child through the same thing that these parents put their child through. I know that they probably thought that what they're doing was for the best, but it's awful. It's just awful. Always look for whether the risk outweighs the benefit. And if it does, don't do it, because people don't do that anymore. They just listen to doctors and they're like, okay, I'll trust you. You know what you're saying is true because you know what you're talking about, because you're a doctor. You're the one who's done all of these degrees and you've learned all of this medical information. But if you actually study it yourself, you'll usually find that the medical information that you've been given by professionals is not correct. And there's usually money involved. That's all I'm going to say.
he sounds like an absolute monster. And in my view, he should be put into prison for what he did to you. And because he's never going to have the spine to say it, I want you to know that I am so sorry for what happened to you. That is horrific. This should happen to no one, especially when you're entrusting your life to people that are supposed to be professionals.
Yeah.
Gawking at you as you come out of surgery, bringing people to come look at his work, and then being a coward and hiding from the consequences of what he did. In my view, he should be in prison for what he did to you. It is the worst kind of assault, in my view.
And I was only 20.
You were 20, just beginning your life, really believing that this was going to make your life better, and you cannot even contact him.
No.
It is the most disgusting thing that I have honestly ever heard that somebody could do to somebody. And I can't imagine the pain and the grief that you and your mother have gone through and your sister have gone through.
Okay, I'm getting emotional now, because I'm thinking about all the kids right now who are going through the same thing as what this person went through. Right now, like, literally the laws are like changing in some places. They are actually looking at doing these things to, children. They're talking about it, saying, should we do this gender reaffirming care to children now? Like, should we make the age lower that we can start doing it to them? I mean, all we can really do is just pray and talk about it and call it out, like Candace Owens is doing and many other people are doing now in this day and age. We need to stop the manipulation towards children. We need to stop pushing these things on our kids, because this is where it ends. Regrettable decisions which can't be reversed.
Through and your family has gone through, realizing that you were used like you were a science project to somebody.
Like, we were just, it wasn't until that moment that everything that they had told us was a lie. And that's why I get frustrated. And that's what brought me here today, was I see so many people now in this year advocating for the exact process I went through. But in reality, when people have that kind of surgery, the best candidates are people that have gone through a full male puberty. They have all sexual functionality. They have all of their organs and tissue intact. But you go into the gender clinic and they'll tell you, if you want to look good and be treated better, start now, start young. But then you give up everything.
Hey guys, if you like this video, you are definitely
Awful, just so awful. My heart bleeds for this person, literally. My heart's actually hurting right now. I feel heartbroken for this person because I can't imagine what they're going through. I can't imagine having the ability to have kids taken away from me. I can't imagine. And it's not even their fault because they were a child when it happened. This is the thing. Like, they were a child. It's not their fault. People would probably look at this, watch this and laugh, some people. But when you manipulate a child, it's not the child's fault, it's the adults involved. They're the ones who had, full control of the situation, and they should have been protecting the child in that situation, but they didn't. And they completely failed to safeguard this child. And look where it led to. Just awful. But yeah. Let me know what you think in the comments. What are your views on this situation, and what can we do to prevent it from happening to more children? Please give this video a thumbs up so we can spread it to more people and they can maybe hear the message and prevent this from happening to more children. And yeah, please also subscribe to my channel for more content like this, and I'll see you in the next video.